What makes Ma'a Nonu one of rugby's most formidable midfielders? Few players have left an impact as deep and lasting as Nonu. His combination of raw power, pinpoint precision and electric agility didn't just make him a threat, it transformed how the centre position is played in the modern game. But what's even more fascinating is that his rise to the top was anything but smooth. From near career-ending setbacks to jaw-dropping comebacks, Nonu's story is more than just about rugby. It's about grit, resilience and redefining what's possible. Stick around because this journey has twists you don't want to miss. Growing up in Wellington, New Zealand, Ma'a Nonu was immense in rugby culture from the very beginning. It wasn't just a game, it was part of the DNA of the city, and young Nonu soaked it all up. He attended Rongotai College, a school known for its rugby pedigree, and from his very first matches, it was clear that this wasn't just any young prospect. His athleticism was jaw-dropping, but it was more than just talent. Nonu played with fire, an intensity and a hunger to dominate. Coaches took notice early. He didn't just want to be good, he wanted to be the best, and that mindset would set him apart. What's fascinating about Nonu is how quickly he evolved. A lot of young players rely on their physical gifts alone, coasting on speed or strength. Not Nonu. He was constantly working on his game, his passing, his vision, his offloading under pressure, and it paid off. By 21, he was already in the All Blacks jersey, debuting against England in 2003. Imagine that, your first match and it's against the reigning world champions. But instead of cracking under pressure, Nonu rose to the occasion. He bulldozed through tackles, held his ground on defence, and introduced himself to the world as a player who wasn't going anywhere. But the road wasn't smooth, not even close. While he burst onto the scene with a bang, Nonu's early years with the All Blacks were rocky. His performances were sometimes brilliant, sometimes inconsistent. Some critics questioned if he had the discipline to be a mainstay in the squad. Others wondered if the physical style could evolve with the demands of international rugby. And then the bombshell. He was left out of the 2007 Rugby World Cup squad. For any player, that would be crushing. For someone who had poured everything into wearing that black jersey, it was devastating. And here's where most stories go one or two ways. Fade out or fight back. Nonu chose the later. He almost walked away from New Zealand rugby entirely though. There were serious talks about switching codes to the NRL. He nearly signed with the West Tigers in Australia. Can you imagine how different things could have been? But deep down, Nonu knew his story with rugby union wasn't finished. So he went back to the grind. Not just to stay fit, but to reinvent himself. He sharpened his decision-making, redefined his passing, and worked relentlessly on becoming not just a wrecking ball, but a playmaker. It was this transformation that made his comeback all the more powerful. When he returned to the All Blacks, he wasn't just a powerful runner, he was a complete package. And here's where the magic really begins. From 2008 onwards, Nonu formed what would become one of rugby's most legendary midfield partnerships with Conrad Smith. They were the perfect balance. Smith was the chess master, calm, tactical, razor sharp. Nonu was a sledgehammer, unpredictable, explosive, game-breaking. Together, they terrorised defences. If Smith didn't carve you up with smarts, Nonu would blow you through with sheer force. This combination would be the spine of the All Blacks backline heading in the 2011 Rugby World Cup. And if you're watching this thinking, he was good, but was he that good? Go back and watch the 2011 tournament yourself. Nonu wasn't just playing well, he was dominating. His performances were instrumental in breaking a 24-year-old World Cup drought for New Zealand. That win was emotional for the entire nation. But for Nonu, it was something more. It was redemption. Proof that setbacks aren't the end unless you let them be. By now, you might be thinking, alright, that's a great arc, but what else could he possibly have done to prove himself? Well, don't go anywhere because we're only halfway through, and what come next only added to the legendary status of Ma'a Nonu. Nonu's club career was unlike anything we're used to seeing from elite players. While many All Blacks legends stayed loyal to the one Super Rugby franchise, Nonu's path was more sporadic. He played for the Hurricanes, the Blues, and even the Highlanders. That kind of movement is rare, especially for a player of his calibre. But in every jersey he delivered, wherever he went, the intensity followed. Teammates fed off it. Coaches trusted him to lift the standard, and fans, they couldn't get enough of watching him crash through defences like a wrecking ball. Then came the 2015 Rugby World Cup. At 33 years old, a lot of people were still asking if Ma'a still had it. Was he too old? Had the game moved on? Once again, he answered with actions, not words. In that tournament, he was nothing short of phenomenal. He scored one of the best tries of the entire event in the final against Australia, breaking tackles, spinning defences, sprinting like a man possessed. When the All Blacks lifted the trophy again, Nonu had firmly secured his place in rugby immortality. You'd think this is where the story ends. Two-time World Cup champion, over 100 tests, legend status. But Ma'a Nonu had other plans. Post-World Cup, he signed with Toulon in France, a powerhouse in rugby's top 14. Now, European rugby is a different beast, slower in pace but more tactical. How would Nonu adapt? The answer, with ease. He brought that same trademark physicality, that same leadership, and turned Toulon into a force. He wasn't there just to collect a paycheck. He was there to compete. And he did, week in, week out. After his stint in France, Nonu surprised the rugby world again. This time by heading to the United States to join the LA Galantis in Major League Rugby in 2021. At 40 years old, he was still playing at a high level, but more than that, he was shaping the future. Mentoring young players, sharing knowledge, and proving that age is just a number if your heart and mind are still in the game. Then come 2022, at another twist, Toulon came calling again, needing a medical joker to cover for injured players. At 41 years old, Nonu returned and once again he held his own in one of the toughest leagues in the world. You'd think by now people would stop doubting him, but even then he continued to surprise. And if you made it this far, here's the jaw dropper. In 2025, at 42 years of age, Ma'a Nonu suited up again for Toulon. Another short-term contract, another challenge, another chance to do what he does best, silence the doubters and inspire the next generation. Across his career, Nonu played 103 tests for the All Blacks, scoring 155 points. In Super Rugby, he played over 170 games and scored more than 50 tries. But those numbers only tell part of the story. What made Nonu special wasn't just the stats. It was how he played. The bone-rattling hits, the silky offloads, the moments of magic where he'd turn a broken play into a highlight reel. He had an uncanny ability to read the game, make the right call, and change the momentum in an instant. If you're still watching, and I hope you are, take a second to reflect. Nonu's story isn't just about rugby. It's about defying limits, rewriting the rules, and proving setbacks are just setups for comebacks. He was overlooked. He was doubted. He was nearly out of the game. But each time, he come back stronger, better, and more determined. So what makes Nonu one of the most formidable midfielders? It's not just about the power, the skills, or the accolades. It's the heart, the resilience, and the refusal to quit. Thanks for sticking with me to the end. Just like Nonu, you went the full 80. If you enjoyed this journey, smash the like button, share this with another rugby fan, and subscribe for more stories that go beyond the scoreboard. And I'll catch you next time.